Funnily enough, somebody did ask me a couple of weeks ago in my Instagram DMs, what is the purpose of letting agents if they're not paying for the works or potential repairs that you might need to do in your property? Well, in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly what they do and why you need them to manage your investment property. Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to my channel. So last week I did miss an upload, so there was no video last week, and that was simply because I just needed some time to catch my breath, have a little chill, and come back to you with some newer, fresher content. Okay, so this week I'm going to be talking to you guys about letting agents, what exactly they do, what are the pros and cons of having them, and whether you do actually need them to manage your investment property or portfolio if that is your long-term plan for property, or whether you can simply just do this for yourself. Okay, so let's get into this video. First of all, I'm going to break down exactly what letting agents do. They find tenants for you, okay? And not just find tenants, but good tenants. People that will be able to maintain paying their rent each and every month, and essentially people who will be able to afford to remain in your property for the duration of the contract period. The reason that letting agents are good at doing this, and it's a good idea to leave this to them, is because they are experienced professionals. This is part of their job day in and day out, okay? They have access to the right systems to be able to properly vet and reference potential tenants, so why not leave this to them? This is one of the reasons why people do engage letting agents. This is the reason why I engaged them, because as a first-time landlord, when I got my property, I was not sure about how to go about making sure that I'd be able to get good tenants in there that would keep up with the rental payments, okay? Yes, I'm sure if you do some research online, you'll be able to find this out by yourself and be able to manage this process yourself. But at that point, I just didn't want to go through this. It's my first property and I wanted to make sure that it was done properly. And also my longer term plan is to build a portfolio. And so in that sense, I'd rather give the job of property management over to the professionals and give myself the room and time to be able to invest more into finding other properties and deals for my portfolio. Right, second thing that letting agents do, they collect the rent for you, so you do not have to worry about collecting rent from tenants or chasing them if they're not paying on time. This is the letting agent's job. All you have to do is sit back, relax, and wait for your monthly remittances to come in. It's that simple. You leave it all down to the letting agent and they manage all of that whole process for you. The third thing that letting agents will do for you is enforce compliance of the rules, okay? They make sure that your tenants are complying with the contract and the terms of the agreement that they have in staying in your property. So worst case scenario, if it gets to a place whereby you have tenants that are unruly, they're not paying rent, and you may need to start looking into the idea of evicting them, letting agents can help guide you through that process and make sure that you're doing things properly, okay? They won't do it for you, but they can guide you in that way since they know the legislation and they are experts in that area, okay? The fourth thing that your letting agents will do for you is help you to manage works and potential repairs required in your property, okay? They will not do it for you, but essentially they will be the middleman. They'll arrange all the people that need to do the work. So for example, let's say there's an issue with the boiler or something to do with, you know, the tap not working properly. They'll be able to go ahead and find somebody, whether it's somebody that they already work with, or they'll be able to go out there and find somebody who can resolve the issue. You do not need to get involved in such matters, okay? That is down to your letting agents to deal with. And last but not least, letting agents basically just take the hassle off, okay? They remove the need for you to be a full-time landlord. You don't need to think about the day-to-day management of your property. They essentially do it all for you. All you need to do is sit back, relax, and collect your money on a monthly basis from the rental. Right, so now I'm going to talk about exactly how letting agents work with you. How do you engage them? What are like sort of the payment terms? How does it all work? Yeah, so there are basically two options. The first option is when you engage with a letting agent to essentially find you tenants, and that is nothing more, nothing less. Once they have found you tenants, they are out of the equation and everything else is left down to you to manage. So with this sort of arrangement, generally you pay them like a one-time sort of admin setup fee, and this is usually around the ballpark of like £300. So that is just to find the tenant, okay? The second option you can go for is when they find you the tenant, and then as well as that, they continue to manage the relationship between you and the tenant, including collecting rent and all those kind of things. So for that sort of relationship, you pay the initial setup fee, and then as well as that, you pay a continuous sort of percentage each month, which is for their management. I currently pay a 7% management fee to my letting agents to manage my property for me on a monthly basis. And I think that's pretty good actually, because some may demand 10%, 12% or even more. You just need to find what's good for you and what's a comfortable fit. Right, so let's really get into the juicy bits. What are the pros of having a letting agent manage your property for you? First of all, you are leaving the job to professionals, okay? This is their job day in, day out. So they know all the legislation, they know all the things that you need to do in terms of covering yourself as a landlord. So I'll give an example. When I first became a landlord, I wasn't aware of things like I had to get carbon monoxide alarms set up in the property. I had to get smoke alarms in there. I had to make sure that I got a gas safety check for all my gas equipment in the property, so including the boiler. I wasn't fully aware of all of those things. But because I engaged letting agents, they advised me that I would need to do these things before they can go about looking for tenants potentially to move into my property. So that's a win for me. Even down to things like insurance, they can make sure that you are covered and equipped with everything that you need. For example, having landlord's insurance in place, they can help you sort that out. The second advantage of having a letting agent, they have a very stringent vetting process, okay? So in terms of getting references for your potential tenants, they are very thorough in doing this. Again, I mentioned it earlier in the video, but I would not know how to go about finding tenants for my property. I would not know how to thoroughly vet them and make sure that they will be good paying tenants, okay? And that's why it's good to be able to rely on letting agents to do this for you. They are experienced professionals, they know what to look for, and they have access to the right systems and databases to do everything that they need to do to ensure that you're able to get good tenants in your property. This is so key. The third thing that they provide you with, collecting rent and chasing of rent, okay? So you do not need to worry about any of that. You do not need to get involved in that hassle. They will do it for you. All you need to do is sit back, relax, and wait for your remittances to come in every month telling you how much you're going to get from your tenants. And if there are any issues with collecting the rent, they should be able to inform you of what's going on and essentially act as the middleman between you and the tenants. You should not have to speak to your tenants about such issues. They will deal with all of that for you. The next advantage that letting agents provide is the fact that they're able to arrange the deposits of your tenants for you in a safety deposit scheme, which is backed by the government, okay? So when collecting deposits from tenants, you can't just collect the money and put it in your account. No, you can't do that. You need to make sure that it's done properly. And that is by putting the money in a secure government-backed scheme. I'll put some links in the description box detailing more about this. But essentially, this needs to be done properly, okay? You can't skip out on this. You need to make sure that you are following the law. And letting agents will help you in doing this. You do not need to worry about it. They've got it covered. The next advantage, they handle all the paperwork. So in terms of getting your assured short-hold tenancy agreement in place, that is your AST, or even things like the inventory. So basically doing a check of the property, what's in place, the state of things, the condition prior to tenants moving in, and then again doing that check prior to tenants leaving. And that way you're able to see if any damage has been caused to a property and whether you need to take some money out of their deposits to cover the costs incurred in terms of trying to replace any damages or bring the place back up to scratch before you get new tenants in, okay? These are the kind of things that letting agents can do for you. And although it may seem minor or something that you could potentially do yourself, you have to think about your situation. Are you working full-time? If you are working full-time, you potentially don't want to be spending loads of time on doing things like this for yourself, okay? You're much more concerned in trying to find more ways to bring in more money, so potentially finding other deals and other properties that you can invest in. Leave the management to professionals who can deal with like the admin and those kind of things that you don't necessarily need to be focused on if you have other responsibilities and priorities. And last advantage that letting agents provide for you, they essentially just save you time and a hassle. So already I've mentioned that if you work full time, you don't really want to be getting involved in the day-to-day sort of things involved with owning a property or being a landlord, okay? You just don't have time for it. And is it a good use of time even if you were to do it yourself? Probably not. With letting agents, you can leave all the liaisons with tenants to them, okay? They can deal with all the issues. If your tenants have a problem, they can contact the letting agent. And if it's a case whereby you don't want your letting agents to just act as soon as the tenants come with a problem, you can instruct them to come to you, let you know what the issues are, and then you can advise how you want to move forward. So generally, with letting agents, when you go for the overall management package, that is whereby they've sourced the tenants and then they do the ongoing management of the property, they will naturally just go and source workers to go and fix the problem or go into the house and check how they can fix it. But in my case, I've advised my letting agents that no, if there are issues, I want you to contact me and then I'll advise how I want to go about it. Whether that be I go and source somebody to go and do the work myself, or whether I instruct you to go ahead and find somebody on your side to fix the problem. Why have I done this? It's because I do not want to incur any additional costs that I do not need to. The thing with letting agents is the fact that they're not necessarily looking out for your pocket. That is, if there's an issue with the boiler, they may go and find the most expensive workman to do the job. It may not be an intentional thing, but they're just seeing it as I'm finding someone who's competent to do the job, okay? So if I need to pay more, I guess I'm going to pay more. Whereas you, on the other hand, you are the person who owns the property. As the landlord, you're the one that's going to be directly impacted if you spend too much on fixing something, because that's going to cut into your profits from the property. You'll want to source workers that can do the job efficiently but at a cheaper price. Right, so now that we've discussed the pros of having letting agents manage your property for you, now let's discuss the cons. So the first disadvantage is the cost, naturally, okay? The cost in terms of whether you just decide to engage them to find tenants, in which you'll pay the setup fee, or whether you go ahead for the full management package, which is a case whereby you pay an additional monthly percentage fee for management as well as the initial setup fee as well, okay? So that cost is definitely something that could be avoided if you did it for yourself, but again, you need to weigh up the pros and the cons. You need to weigh up the time that you have available to you versus the amount amount of time that you need to invest in doing like management type, admin type stuff for a property that you own. You need to find this balance for yourself. So I'll speak for myself in this case. I don't believe that the cost associated with getting a letting agent in is too much of a con for myself, because I feel that it's money well spent, especially if you're somebody that's trying to build up a property portfolio. If you've got loads of properties under your belt, you don't have time to be spending doing all the sort of admin and sort of like property management tasks, okay? That should not be your focus anyway. Your focus is trying to find more and more deals to invest in to get more money in for yourself. Leave the management to the professionals or the experts in that area. You do not need to focus on that. However, on the other hand, if you are somebody who's not working full-time, you don't have that many properties and you want to do this for yourself, I mean, go ahead. It's a good learning curve. You can get to see the detail. You can get to learn some of the things that I said I wouldn't have known how to do as a first-time landlord. So for example, how to do thorough vetting of tenants. It'd be a great skill to learn if you can do that and if you have the time. But if you don't, I would say get a letting agent in and pay them that cost associated with their services. I think it's money well spent. Second, overpaying on repair works and the arrangement fee that can sometimes be associated with them. So I already mentioned this not too long ago in the video, but again, this is just the idea of basically overpaying for work and fixtures in your property, okay? So I'll give another example. When I first got my property, I was told that I need to get a gas safety certificate for my boiler, okay? So I did a search online and I was seeing quotes for like £200 plus even, okay? But then after digging in and doing further research, I actually found that I could get this gas safety certificate for £40 via open rent, which is what I did in the end. But you can imagine, if I gave the job over to my letting agents to do, they may have got somebody that will come and do the job for £200. You can see the difference. £200 versus £40. I know the one that I'd rather go for, and I know the one that I went for. It was the £40. So this is where you do need to be careful. Some letting agents may also charge you an arrangement fee. So not only will they get contractors in to come and do the work, but they may charge a maybe, I don't know, £30 fee on top for having to arrange that. I don't know how much it is because I don't have that sort of agreement with my letting agents. But again, you may want to be wary of this. Now, the final con or disadvantage of bringing in a letting agent to manage your property, they may not be as invested as you are in the property, okay? So they may not focus on all the details that you might do if you were the one managing the property. I mean, this is natural. If something's your baby or your business, you're going to be extra cautious, especially if it's your first one. So again, in this case, you just need to be extra careful and make sure you've outlined the terms of your agreement and told them what exactly it is you want of them and what you don't want from them. Pay attention to how they're working. If you feel like there's something that you do not like or you want them to improve on, definitely let them know, okay? Send this an email so that you have written communications and evidence that will go in support of you, and just make sure that anything that you do not like, you are calling out, and basically make sure that you're getting your money's worth. At the end of the day, you're paying them for a service and you want them to give you this service. Okay guys, so that brings me to the end of this week's video. I do hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you found it useful. Please do let me know what your favorite pros or cons are for hiring a letting agent to manage your property for you. Please do also let me know if you have any additional ones that I've not mentioned in this video. I'm sure others who are viewing this video would also equally like to know what those are. Thanks for watching and I'll catch you next week. Bye.